Welcome everyone. This is Said Samir again. Today is our learning outcomes. Today's learning outcomes. We will complete the ELT, English Language Teaching Approaches, and I will outline the benefits and the drawbacks of different approaches. And the last or finally, we will make a micro teaching lesson. Okay, so let's move to the second lesson planning model. Okay, TBL. TBL means T, the first letter, task, and the second one, B, based, and the last one, learning, task-based learning. We have 3 stages in TBL. We have 3 stages in TBL. Please, if you don't want to use your mic, please mute yourself. Okay, if you don't want to use your mic, please mute yourself. Okay, so we have 3 stages of TBL. The first one, pre-task. The second one, task cycle, and the last one, language focus. So in pre-task, you should pre-task before the task. So you should, as a teacher, think well about the pre-task before you ask students to do. You should think well about the task that will you give or introduce to your students. So in this stage, I need to introduce the topic first to students and then to choose what they need to do. Then we will move on to the task cycle. The task cycle divided into 3 parts: the task and planning, then report. Okay. Okay. So the task cycle, I'm gonna ask the students to do 3 things. As I said, task, planning, and report. So they are going to do the task, which is gonna be a real life or belongs to a real life situation. Okay, belongs to a situation or a real life situation. Then they are gonna to plan for the task, and then we are gonna to report back what they have done in the task. So the task, okay, and then planning for the task, so they will report. Okay, lastly come the role of the teacher, where he analyzes the language. Okay, and the last thing, language focus, analysis and practice. So the role of the teacher comes here. The role of the teacher comes here, okay, where he analyzes the language that the students brought up, that the students used in this task. Okay, so let's see example. It's a story. It's a story lesson. Here I have the activities. These are the activities, okay, and the students, that the students as well as the teacher should do. So you have 2 minutes to match these activities with the stages. Again, here, okay, here we have some activities that the teacher and the students should do in every stage of these. Okay, I want you to match these activities with the stages. Okay, so you have 2 minutes to match these activities with the stages. Okay, do you understand me? Okay. Okay, who can answer the first one? Which activities of these we should match with the pre-task? Who can answer? Yes, who can answer? Come on. Okay, the first one talking about the story. This is a pre-task. We should at first talk or introduce the story or the characters to the students. Okay, so talking about the story, it's like a kind of introduction to the topic and the task. So you may present, need vocabulary or a video or an audio, a picture, demonstrating to the task that refers to the task. For example, you can give them the words, the characters, the beginning of the story, and ask them to write and to prepare the end of the story. Okay, so you can give them at first the beginning of the story and ask them to think about, to give them an open end, to think about the end of the story. Please mute yourself if you don't want to speak.
طب احنا بنجاوب ازاي؟ بتتك فين ولا بالتاتش؟
Okay, I hear you, miss. I hear you, miss. Miss, I hear you.
بشوف لك كده السماعة.
مس سماح، مس سماح،
افتكر ايه بقى؟
مس سماح صبحي.
ما هي كده ماشي في الشرط.
Okay, so this is the first stage. Okay, which activity that we should match to the task cycle? Okay, which activity after we introduce the beginning of the story? So which activity we should match to the task cycle? The task, planning, and report. So learners prepare a story. Okay, after I introduce the beginning of the story, I give them a time to prepare for the task, to plan for the task. Okay, so
they have to prepare themselves for the lesson.
Yes, prepare the story by themselves. Okay, so the learner identify what happened and the role of the characters, and then they will choose a spokesman presents their stories. Okay, so at first, as a teacher,
as a group.
Yes. They work in pairs or in groups. Okay, in pairs or in groups.
He represents the whole group.
Yes, and they choose a spokesman from them to tell the story or to report a story to the other students. Okay, then
that's okay.
Okay, so the collaborative work is essential in the TPL, and they need to support each other. Okay, so they are gonna to plan together what's happening in the story. Then choose one of them as a spokesman, as I said, to present the story to the rest of the class. So what is the role of the teacher here? Okay, when the students prepare and planning for the task, what do you think of the role of the teacher here? Can you give me an answer? What's the role of the teacher here?
He can discuss something with them out.
As when they prepared for the story, he can stand in front of them and don't do anything. Do you think this?
He can discuss the lesson with them.
Okay, the discussion will be at the last stage, language focus and feedback. But what's the role of the teacher here? When the students prepare for the story or prepare for what they want to introduce, I think the teacher works here as an observer, as a counselor, as a facilitator to know the language or the structure that they are struggling with. Okay, he want to know what the students is struggling, what the structure that the students are struggling with, that they don't use it well. So
Yeah.
he will focus in in the last stage. Okay, and give them a feedback about it.
I mean the outcome of the lesson. Yeah.
Yes.
The outcome of the lesson. Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
result.
yeah, the language focus and feedback, and the last stage, the language focus and feedback. Teachers provide feedback and focus on the language that the students use in the report of the story that they introduce for the rest of the other students. He analyzes the language and focus in the structure that they don't use well. Okay, so in brief, okay, a task-based learning, if I have a story lesson, okay, I should do these stages. First, okay, I talk about the story, okay, I can give them the whole story and ask them in the task will be, please try to make a story like this, or I will give the beginning of the story and ask them to give me the end of it. Okay, so the task, try to give me an end for this story. Okay, use your imagination with your colleagues to give me an end for this story. Okay, and here in this stage the teacher try to observe the students, okay, to write down the notes about how they use the structures, what the structure that they don't use it well. And in the last stage, he gives them the feedback about the structure that they don't, or the language that they don't use well in the story. Okay, so this is a task-based learning in brief. Okay, so we need the 3 stages: pre-task and task cycle and language focus and feedback. Okay, so this is also a summary, the introduction to the topic and task. Teacher explores the topic with the class, help learners to understand instructions and prepare. So the second stage, task cycle. The task cycle, task, the learner does the task in pairs or in small groups, okay? And while the teacher monitors, okay, the teacher try to observe them, watch them, okay? So the planning, learners prepare to report to the whole class, oral or written, how they did the task and what they decided or discovered. And then report. Some groups present their reports to the class or exchange written reports and compare the results. And the last stage, the language focus, analysis and practice. Analysis, the learner examines and discusses specific features, and practice, the teacher conducts practice of new words, phrases, and patterns that occur in the data. Okay, so what is the pros and cons of this model? What is the pros and cons of this model? Okay, these are the pros of the TBL model. Who can read? Who can read? Who can read? Raise your voice, please. Yes. Who's speaking? Who's speaking? Please participate with me. I don't want to speak all the time, and I can't do this. Please participate with me. Who can read? What is the good about TBL is?
Yes, Mr. I can.
Yes.
What is good about TBL is asking students to do meaningful tasks using the target language. There is a communicative goal, prompt learning by doing. Student-centered task is measured by outcome, communication, real-world relation, use task, not text, as a unit of analysis, encourage in inductive learning, promote cooperative learning.
Okay, so here the pros of the TPL, okay, that it's a communicative model, okay. It depends on communication, and the task should be related to the real life situations. The student centered, the students works all the time, okay, and that it's an inductive learning, encourage inductive learning, okay. Okay, so it's not explicit learning, okay. It encourages the inductive learning. So these are the pros. So what about the cons? The cons, I think it takes a long time, and the learners may not have enough language knowledge. Okay, take a longer time because there are 3 stages, and the second stage may take a longer time, and you don't have time to give them a feedback about what they do. Okay, because every group wanted to present the story, to present what they did. Okay, so it takes a longer time. Okay, and maybe the students don't have the knowledge about the language that they use. Okay, so this is I think the two of the cons of the TBL model. Okay, that it take a longer time, and the learners don't have enough language knowledge. Okay, so I can give you some examples about the tasks, that you can give, or you can introduce to your learners, such as I said, the tasks should relate to the real life situations. Okay, so some examples of the tasks, such as meeting someone for the first time. Okay, so what should you do, or what should you say in this situation? Okay, talking to someone on the phone, ordering food for dinner, preparing a meal, introduce your city to your friend. Okay, these are some kinds of tasks that we use to introduce TBL model or TBL approach. Okay, okay, and the TTT approach. The first letter refers to test. Second one, teach. And the third one, test. Okay, so the beginning of the lesson. What is the beginning of the lesson? It will be
warming up.
the beginning of the lesson. It will be
Warming up.
warming up here by using this approach. By using this approach. What's the beginning of the lesson? It will be a test.
Revision.
Yeah,
Test.
yes, I will introduce them a test, or a kind of test. Okay, okay, then I will teach, and the last or the end of the lesson, it will be a test. So let's discuss this. Okay, test, teach, test. Test students are given an exercise activity in which they could produce the target language or the structure. Okay, then the teacher monitors and listens. So this is the first one. The second stage, teach. The teacher teaches as necessary. Why do you use the test at the beginning of the lesson? Why? You do this to know what they know and what they don't know about this lesson. Okay, you introduce a test at the first of the lesson to know if the students know this lesson well, and know the points that they don't know about it. So in the second stage, you will focus on what they know or what they don't know.
They don't know.
Oh, what they don't know. Okay, so your focus will be on what they don't know, what the students or what the learners don't know. Okay, so you save your effort. Okay, and you focus on what they need. And the last stage, you will give them a test as an assessment. Okay, you give them another exercise or activity to know if they are still confused about what they don't know or not, or they learned it well. Okay, so why would the teacher follow this approach? And can you see any benefits? Let's see.
Find out what the learners know.
Okay, who can read? I hear someone read. So who can read? Who can read?
Find out what the learners know. Okay.
Raise your voice. Raise your voice, please.
Okay. Okay, Mister. Yes.
Okay, who's speaking?
Yes, Master.
Okay, who's speaking?
Miss.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone.
Miss Nisma. Miss Nisma.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Nisma.
Okay. To find out what the learners know or can remember, this is a good review strategy, and this is useful when preparing for an assessment or end of unit review. The teacher sets a task for learners to complete in class. This could be a free practice activity, semi-class. This could be a free controlled or controlled.
The teacher
I'm sorry.
The
teacher monitors to observe whether learners are using the correct language. During feedback, learners check each other's work. This encourages peer teaching.
Okay.
Okay.
So why would the teacher follow this approach? As I said, the teacher follows this approach at the beginning of the lesson. Where do you want what? Where do you know? Sorry, at the beginning of the lesson, where do you want to know what they know and what they don't know? So you, as a teacher, you don't want to focus on everything. Okay. So for example, if I am teaching a vocabulary lesson and I can use this approach, test, teach, test, to know which vocabulary or words that they are struggling with. Okay. If I know the words, I will focus on them. Then I will explain it. So at the end, I will give them an assessment or a test at the end to know what they are still confused, okay, about and what they learned well. We can use this approach as a good review strategy, okay, as a revision, okay, at the end of the unit, okay, to know what the students learned well in this unit and what they don't learn well. Okay.
As assessment.
Yeah, as an assessment. Okay, as an assessment. Okay. Okay, so let's move to what would happen in this situation. What would happen in this situation? During the first role play, about half of the learners have difficulties, okay, with the language, but the other half don't. You wanted to use the TBL as a teach test, sorry, okay? And you found that after the first test, you found that the half of the learners have difficulties in this lesson. And the other half know the lesson very well. So what will you do? Can you give me an answer? Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, we understand it very well.
Okay.
We can put a good student in each group.
Yes.
And this will be will make some sort of cooperation and learning from each other.
It's answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Osama. Mr. Osama, yes? Mr. Osama, who's speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. Yes, this is a good answer. Yes, that's what should we do. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think so.
Yes, yes. If some or half of the learners perform well, and the teacher will encourage peer teaching, as Mr. Osama said, and communication by asking those who did well to teach those who did less well. Okay, so I have a half of the class that know the lesson well. Okay, I will choose them and put them in the other half with the other half. Okay, and ask them to teach the lesson for them. Okay, as a teacher,
Okay.
you save your effort, and okay, and the students or the learners, okay, teach from each other, and this is what we can call peer teaching. Okay, so this is create
This
a
will
sense.
give them self-confidence. This will give them self-confidence.
Yes, self-confidence and a sense of collaboration, and has a good communicative value. Thank you so much, Mr. Osama. That's a good answer. Okay, I will move to. Thank you so much. Okay, I will move to the lexical approach. The lexical approach. Okay, so what is the lexical approach? We have only 3 minutes, okay, and we will and the session will end, okay, and we will join again to the meeting, okay. Okay, so what is the lexical approach? Lexical approach is a way of teaching foreign language through the understanding and the production of lexical phrases or lexes. Okay, so what's the meaning of lexical and what's the meaning of lexes? Okay, lexes means words. Lexes means words, and lexical approach means the approach that focusing on words. So this approach from its title, okay, focus on what? Focus on words, focus on vocabulary. Okay, so let's talk about the type of lexical approach. Okay, types of lexes. First, lexical chunk. So what does it mean of a chunk? Okay, lexical chunk are groups of words that can be found together in language. Okay, and this is one of the best ways to learn English. Okay, to learn the language in chunks. Okay, so in my opinion, for example, to make a long story short, by the way, at the end of the day, that will never happen to me. Okay, these are lexical chunks.
As songs.
As songs, yes. Okay, the second one, collocations. Collocations refer to the regular occurrence together of words, such as do my hair, do the cooking, do the laundry, okay, do the laundry, make my bed, make a promise, make coffee, make a meal. Okay, these are all collocations. Okay,
yeah,
it refers to the regular occurrence or together of words, okay, that happens together or that we should use together. Okay,
look for.
yes,
I mean, look for something like this.
look for is a phrasal verb. I think it's a phrasal verb. I mean, Mr. Osama, I think Mr. Osama is speaking such as a verb with a noun. Okay, collocation such as a verb with a noun. Okay.
Slice fruit.
And there are a lot of kinds of collocations. Yes.
Slice of fruit.
Yes. Such
chop
as
vegetables.
Yes. Such
Slice
as
of fruit.
this. Yes. slice of fruit, chop
chop
vegetables.
vegetables,
Yes,
okay.
as
Do
as
laundry, do laundry,
do laundry. Yes, do laundry. As application in primary in the time curriculum. In the time curriculum, primary 5 and primary 6, I think.
yeah.
Okay, so and type of lexes such as idioms. Dead drunk, coast the earth, keep your feet on the ground. Dead drunk means unconscious or unable to move. Coast the earth means it costs a lot of money. Keep your feet on the ground means to continue to act in a sensible and a practical way. So these are idioms and the similes. Simile, we can use it in we can use similes in poem, on poetry. Okay, but these
Like
are
father,
some.
like son. No.
Yeah, at tashbih, similes. Okay.
Yeah. Like father, like son. Something.
Like a lion, he attacks like a lion.
Okay.
Okay, so this is similes in poem and in poetry. Okay, as old as the hill, so he is so old, as still as dead, as hungry as wolf, so he is so hungry, as easy as ABC, it's so easy, it's a piece of cake. Okay, okay, we have only 1 minute. Please leave the session, okay, and join it again. Okay, let's start again. The last time we said of lexes similars. Okay, so the objectives. Okay, so objectives, it helps the students to use their time to improve and increase their vocabulary. Okay, it helps the students to use their time to improve. Please don't use your pen, please. Okay, and increase their vocabulary. So because we said that approach focus on the vocabulary, the words. It helps the students to learn for themselves how to use languages. Okay, use language. Okay. The three stages of this approach. As you see, there are 3 words in bold: observe, hypothesis, and experiment. Okay, these are the 3 stages of this approach. Okay, the lexical approach have 3 stages: observe, hypothesis, and experiment. Okay, so who can read this? Who can read this slide, please? Who can read this? I don't know where the other participants. In the first session, we are 37. Now we are 23. I will take the absence at the end of the session. I don't know where the others. Okay, who can read this slide? Who can read this slide? Come on. I'm here. Come on, please. Who can read this slide?
Learners can be encouraged to notice or observe language that is relevant to them, or can be more explicit, where the teacher highlights specific chunks to be learned.
Yes. Learners
Learners then work out the function of the language chunks from the context hypothesis. Finally, the teacher arranges a controlled or a freer activity where learners practice the language. The activities can range from matching and gap fills to role plays and writing. This stage provides the experiment with the language.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Shaima. Only Ms. Shaima and Mr. Osama who is speaking with me, who are speaking with me. We are 26 now. Only Ms. Shaima and Ms. Nisma, I think, and Mr. Osama. Only 3 or 4 who is participating in the session. Why, my colleagues? Okay. So there are 3 stages, as Mrs. Shaima said: observe, hypothesize, and experiment. Okay, so the first at the beginning of the lesson, okay, the student should observe the chunks, or observe the words, okay, and highlight it. Then hypothesis means try to guess the meaning of the words, try to guess the meaning of the words in the context. And then through activities, okay, a controlled or freer activity, okay, the learner practice this language, okay, and this is what we call, okay, experiment, okay, or what is called experiment. So there are the 3 stages: observe and hypothesis, and the last stage is experiment. Okay, next. Okay, so what is the meaning of the verb take in these sentences? Okay, read it, and we want to discuss the meaning of the word take in these sentences. Okay, the first one. Okay, the first one. What's the meaning of take in the first sentence?
I think have.
Yes, have. Every morning I take a shower. I have a shower. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, the second sentence.
I think happens.
Yeah, to place.
Okay.
Who's speaking?
Miss Wallet.
Okay, Miss Wallet. Yes, happen. Okay, or happens. The training happens on Monday. Takes place on Monday. Thank you, Miss Wallet. Okay, another one. Okay, the third one, I think it's the meaning of it, it's I think or consider. I consider it, you don't understand, because this is incorrect. Okay, think or consider. The first one, my husband took me out for dinner on my birthday. So what the meaning of took here?
Invite.
Provide?
Went outside.
Yeah, go outside.
Oh.
Yeah, go outside. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and the last one, do you take after your mother or father? Take after here means?
Look after.
Yes?
Who's look after?
No, look, no. Look after, no. The take after. It's a take after. Who is
I
speaking?
think it's help. Look like.
I can't hear you. There's a man speaking, but I don't hear Mr. Ahmed or Mr. Omar. Who's speaking? I don't know.
I think it's
Yes, Mr. Ahmed.
means help.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed.
look like ممكن.
Look like. Okay. Behave like. Behave like. Do you behave like your father or mother? Okay. Behave like. Okay. Take after here means behave like. Okay. So total physical response. Total physical response. Okay, so what is the total physical response? TPR. T, total, P, physical, R, response. So what is the meaning of TPR or total physical response? TPR is an approach to teaching a second language based on listening, linked to physical activities. So the student will listen to you and mime, okay, and mime your action, okay. So listening linked to physical activities. Please mute yourself if you don't want to speak. Please mute yourself if you don't want to speak. Okay, so this approach focus on listening linked to a physical activity, which are designed to reinforce the comprehension. Okay. So how can I use it in the class? How can I use the total physical response in the class? In the classroom, the teacher plays the role of parent. Okay. He or she starts by saying a word, jump, or a phrase, look at the board, and demonstrating an action. Okay. So the teacher then says the comment, and the students all do the action. So at first, the student listen to the teacher and try to do like the teacher, do the action like the teacher. After repeating a few times, it's possible to extend this by asking the student to repeat the word as they do the action. So jump, and they say jump. When they feel confident with the word or a phrase, you can then ask the student to direct to each other or the whole class, okay? To say it to each other or in pairs or in the whole class. It's more effective if the students are standing in a circle around the teacher, and you can even encourage them to walk around as they do the action. And this in the small number classes, okay? In small number classes. Okay, and I know all our classes have a lot of numbers or a lot of students. Okay, so when should I use that? TBR be used to teach and practice many things. Vocabulary connected with action, such as a smile, chop, headache, wriggle. Okay, tenses, past, present, future, continuous aspect. Every morning I clean my teeth. I make my bed. I eat breakfast as a routine. Okay, so you can ask them to mime or do the action. Classroom language, such as open your book, sit down, okay, stand up, close your book, look at the board. Okay, this is a classroom language. Imperative and instruction, stand up, close your eyes. Storytelling, okay, it can be adapted for all kinds of teaching situation. You just need to use your imagination how to use this approach in this lesson. Okay, so when I use the TBR first, I get the students to do the action. Then I do them and drill the students corally or individually to give them an opportunity to practice making the sound. They are then ready to give commands to each other. So at first, okay, the student listen, okay, mime you or do the action like you, and then, okay, begin to give commands to each other in pairs, okay? I'll give an example. A game like to play is to organize the students into a circle. Okay, you in front of the class, and you make a circle of students around you, and I say the word. For example, jam, and the last person to do the action is out. Okay, so I'll ask some students to make a circle around me. Okay, and I will say a word, and they will do the word or say the word or do the action, and the last person do the action is out. So this person stand behind me and watches for the students who do the action last. Eventually, there is only one student, and this is the winner. Okay, you can extend this by playing Simon Says. Okay, Simon says something like a puppet. Simon, it's a puppet. Okay, you can have a puppet. Okay, and play this game with your students. Simon Says. This time, when you give a comment, the student should only do it if you say Simon says at the start. I might say Simon says slide some bread, or Simon says chop an onion, and the student must do an action. Okay, so the student listen and then do the action. However, if I say whisk an egg, the student shouldn't do this. If anyone does the action that Simon doesn't say, they are out. Okay, and have to watch for the mistakes of the other students. Okay, I think it's so fun for the students to or for the students and the teacher to use this approach. Okay, it's so fun for the students and for the teacher. Okay, guided discovery. Guided discovery is also known as an inductive approach. It's a technique where teacher provides examples of language, item, and help the learner to find the rules themselves. For example, the learners are shown a problem page containing various examples of the second conditional if. You as a teacher, okay, you wanted to introduce the second conditional if, okay, and you will give them some examples. The students identify the structure and then the rules for making it. So in the classroom, guided discovery is regarded by many teachers as an important tool. Why? Because it encourages independence, makes learning more memorable, and if analysis is done in groups, is a meaningful communicative task. It's important to understand that some learners are resistant to this approach. Okay, so here, this is a lesson. I'm going to show you an example of guided discovery. So this is a lesson about teaching adverbs. Okay, and I need you to read the lesson plan and put the strategies. Okay, so this is the lesson plan here, and these are the stages of introducing or the stages of guided discovery. Okay, to introduce this lesson, I want you to put these stages in order. Okay, so read the lesson plan first, and then try to put the stages in order. Okay, you have 3 minutes. Please quickly. Hey, my dears, have you finished? Okay, let's discuss together. Okay. So what is the first stage? What the first stage?
The teacher creates a context to show the meaning of the language using pictures, storytelling, reading, and lesson.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. Okay, yes, that's right. There's the first stage. The teacher creates a context to show the meaning of the language using pictures, storytelling, reading, or listening. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. So what's the next stage? Okay, what's the next stage? Hey, come on. If you make a mistake, why not? Why not?
The first slide disappeared.
The first slide disappeared. Okay, okay, I will. Okay, why not? Okay, I will return it. Please take a screenshot. Okay, take a screenshot for this. Take a screenshot. Okay, take a picture for it, miss. Okay, have you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so as we said, the first one, the teacher creates a context. Okay, as Mr. Ahmed said. Okay, the next one, the next stage. The next stage.
The teacher uses questions and activities, examples, matching activities to guide the learners. The learners analyze and cooperate as they develop their understanding of the language.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmed. That's right. Okay, the teacher uses questions, activities, such as, for example, matching activities to guide the learners. The learners analyze and cooperate as they develop their understanding of the language. And the third one, the teacher elicits the rules. Okay, the teacher elicits the rules. So the first, the teacher tries to give an examples. Okay, and gives the learners the chance to analyze and cooperate. Okay, and then the teacher elicits the rules from the examples and may get them to complete a gap, fill about the rules. And the last one, the teacher gives the learners tasks to practice. The tasks can range from gap fills and matching to rule plays and writing. And this is the last one. Okay. Okay, so this is a summary of the whole approaches that we talked about in the two sessions, PPP and TBL TTT, the lexical approach, and TBR, and the last one, the guided discovery. And you can find this in your ebook, okay, that I share it with you on the WhatsApp group. Okay, and so this is the summary about the approaches. And as we said in the last session, a micro teaching lesson about the comparison. Okay, and for my best luck, okay, there are two answers about this task. Okay, on the Google Classroom, Mr. Ahmed Gamal and Mrs. Ines Heiba, I think. Okay. There are the only participant or only teachers that answer the task. I want the others to join the Google Classroom and answering the tasks. Okay, what do you think, or what's your opinion about this? How can we introduce this lesson in two ways, as we said, inductive and deductive approach? Okay, so let's see what Mr. Ahmed Gamal said. So what's your opinion, Mr. Ahmed? Mr. Ahmed, what's your opinion about this? Okay, I'll show you your answer. You can read it and explain it to us.
Yes. I completely agree with Mrs. Ines. What did she say?
Yeah. So Mrs.
Deductive approach. We start with the rule Then I introduce some examples to illustrate the rule. After that, I ask the students to answer exercises.
Yes, Mr. Ahmed, summarize the stages, or summarize the steps that we do in the two approaches. Okay, in the first, in deductive approach, we will give the rule at first, then examples and exercises, and in the inductive approach, give examples and then elicit the rule, and then he gives some activities and exercises. As Mrs. Ines said, Mrs. Ines give more explanation for the approaches, or for the two approaches. Okay, I will show you what I think. Okay, you can introduce in the deductive approach like this. So you will say our lesson today about comparison. Okay, we only have only have 10 minutes. I will try to finish before this. Okay, to finish our lesson, our session today. Okay, so the comparison between differences between two people, things, or ideas. Okay, such as this. So how can we make a comparison in the short adjective by add er, than? Okay, one syllable adjective or two syllable, such as faster, faster than, easier than. And the long adjective, we can make a comparison by using more or less plus long adjective and than. Okay, so you give an examples and then you give some activities. This is the deductive approach, as Mrs. Ines said and Mr. Ahmed said. Okay, and in the inductive approach, we can introduce like this. Okay, so read and listen to the conversation. This is a conversation between A and B. Okay, so which do you prefer, London or Paris? Well, I'm from Paris, so of course I love Paris. A, London's is a lot bigger than Paris. B, it's true. Paris is much smaller, but it's more romantic. Yeah, this is what people say. And the food is better. Well, I'm not so sure about that. Okay, so the students or the learners will listen to the conversation. And what's the role of the teacher? He began to ask about this conversation. Okay, so what are the difference between London and Paris? Okay, so the answer, London is bigger than Paris, or Paris is smaller than London. Paris is more romantic than London, and so on. Okay, so something like this, and then you give a spot or focus on the rule. Okay, so big, bigger, romantic, more romantic than, small, smaller, and so on. So, and this is some irregular adjectives such as good, better, bad, worse, and so on. So this is an explicit learning. Okay, you give them some examples at first, and you give them a chance to elicit the structure or the rule from these examples. Okay, so this is the end of our session today. Thank you so much. Okay, the next session will be next Friday, inshallah, and it will be at 7.